veteran's voice, stories that deserve to be heard.
Hi, my name is Atehortua, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, and this is my story. This part of my story starts when I decided to join the Marine Corps. I was in high school, and I was very bad at that, and I saw where my friends and some of my family was going, and I thought I need to do something better. So I was scared to go into college because I was afraid that I was going to continue that high school mentality, and I decided I'm going to join the military. Why the Marine Corps? Because I heard and was told and saw everywhere that they were the best of the best, and I wanted that challenge. I wanted to see if I had what it took. And so I joined the Marine Corps, and I left New York City for the first time in most of my life. When I joined, it was great, had a great experience. I joined in 2000, September of 2000, and a year later, I was on the rifle range qualifying with my rifle, and we heard that a plane had crashed into one of the Twin Towers, and we all just laughed it off because we thought it was a joke. And then they said that a second plane had hit, and we're like, all right, it's still kind of funny, but what's going on? And then they called a ceasefire on the range, and they said report to your command and stand by for further instructions. And we're like, wow, this is real. So it was hard for me because being from New York, I had to try and contact my family right away, and it was impossible. It was probably about 11 p.m. before I was able to contact anybody in New York. And my mind was racing everywhere. I was in awe, stuck to the screen like everyone else, just watching my city fall apart. I didn't know what to expect because I knew that we had to go out there based on what was going on the news, and I felt like it was necessary to prepare my family for that first. So got the feelings out of the way and got my mindset that, all right, it's game time. I actually didn't end up deploying out there until 2004. And when I was out there, I had to turn my feelings off and stick to the mission at hand. I'll touch on maybe one or two moments that are really stick to me is when we were driving from Kuwait to Iraq, and I was the maintenance vehicle. I was the maintenance mechanic for the entire convoy. We had 72 trucks, and I was responsible for all of them during the transition from Kuwait to Iraq. So the first moment where I was like, okay, I'm not okay, something's wrong, is when all the military branches were going on a specific route, and my unit decided to take like the back roads, and Army, Air Force, Navy, everybody else was going the same way except us. And I'm like, I don't know what to think because this is can make us vulnerable. As soon as we got off the road, we were attacked. We were stuck between an improvised explosive device and an attack in the rear, which is where I was. And luckily, I was not injured. My friends were not injured. But as it was happening, I remember a bomb going off and me looking through my side mirror and seeing nothing but black smoke. And I still had friends back there. So again, my mind starts racing, and thankfully, nothing happened to my friends. Everyone was okay. Unfortunately, the unit that was behind us did get hit, and they did have to medevac at least one Marine. So that was the first moment. While we were out there, we tried to make the best of it. Um, I know I try to use comedy to kind of deflect or make things better for myself and others around me. So I used that in one instance when we were stuck between another possible IED and a minefield. However, we didn't know that it was a minefield until we were already walking through it and were told to step back. So that was not a good feeling. But we were there for about 3 hours, and I remember being with, we were the unit, but I was with my department, which was the mechanics, and we were in the back just, talking it up, kind of just trying to pass the time while the Army came in and exploded what we thought was an IED, and we were cleared to keep moving. And so because I was the maintenance vehicle, I had the radio, and my friends were telling me, hey, go find out if we're going to move soon or what's going on. So I ran over to my truck, and we had our own separate communication devices. So I reached back out to them. I said, hey guys, good news. And they're like, what's up? Are we leaving? Should we pack up? I'm like, no, I just saved 15% by switching to Geico. And that made light of the situation, got everybody laughing. Also got me in trouble because I had an officer come over to me, and he was telling me that we needed to keep it down because we were getting ready to explode something, which didn't make sense to me at the time. But that was a happy moment among the, what was going on out there. Coming back, I couldn't wait to get back. I came back, and after I came back, I never imagined how difficult it would be for me to be able to communicate with the people that I love so much and everyone that I left behind, simply because I didn't speak the same language anymore. Not just because of the war, but just being in for so long. I got out coincidentally after I got back from Iraq, right after I got back from Iraq, and it was hard because you almost want them to ask you if you're okay and what happened and talk about it, but at the same time you don't. And so it's hard to know what to do in that situation, especially when you don't have the resources to point you in the right direction to get started. After that, that was in December of 04. 05, I signed back up, joined the reserves, and in 09 I got activated. But I didn't have to go overseas. I got stationed in Albany, Georgia, where I was still part of the what was going on overseas because I was in charge of one of the warehouses that was shipping out equipment to them. But then after I got out from there and came back home again, I still had no resources. When I got out the first time, I had a difficult time trying to find a job and get established, even though being a mechanic at the time, I thought, I can get a job somewhere pretty easily, but that wasn't the case. After about a month and a half of looking for work, I had to work at McDonald's. I was there for 2 weeks and finally got a job at the airport. I worked at the airport for a couple years and then went on to work for a private ambulance company locally here in Orlando. And then I got laid off in 2011. I was laid off for almost 2 years. I found it hard to find a job because um, I couldn't find a job that, for the distance of where I was working, could pay me enough to drive there versus what unemployment was paying me. So um, that was not easy. It was not hard on my wife, on my family. My daughter was about 3 or 4 at the time. A lot going on. So being laid off and the struggles that started after that, I ended up losing our home that we had purchased in '05. I lost that officially in 2016. And again, 2016, still, I couldn't find the resources for help. I couldn't fit in my head how the government and the country that I had been fighting for was allowing these things to happen to not just me, but a lot of veterans. I found at the time that a lot of veterans were going through the same struggle of losing their home with the economy and everything that happened. I mean, it's just part of life. I know you can't really blame anybody, but the resources just weren't there. Finally, in 2017, I started working as a financial planner, started networking a lot. I got really exposed to people. I was used to just looking for things on the internet, which you would think you could find things easily there, but networking got me connected with a couple people that introduced me to Camaraderie Foundation. I found out about the mentor leadership program that they had. I signed up. I didn't know if I qualified. When you get out, you hear about all these places that want to help veterans and help you get a job, help you do this and that, but it's a lot harder than the way it sounds. But with Camaraderie, I applied and it was easy. I got approved, I got accepted, I was part of the class, I met other veterans, and it was wonderful. I felt at home because everyone spoke the same language. So going through the program and being exposed to all the things that Camaraderie exposed me to allowed me to position myself with a veteran-owned business. And so that's where I'm currently at, and I'm very happy there. Again, I feel at home because it's veteran-owned and it's the same language. So I'm very happy to be there. And now I'm part of Camaraderie. I help out when I can with the new class and everything that they do. I don't think that I'll stop helping other veterans because I know what it's like to be there and not have the help, not have the resources, and not have somebody say, hey, what do you want to do? Okay, this is where you start. And I'm very grateful to Camaraderie Foundation for that.